Welcome everyone to another segment of Undeniable, where we discuss those amazing things that God has done in our lives. Those things when we look back on them, it's like, you know what? It's no other way that happened except for God. I'm joined today by my brother in Christ, Charlie Grover.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Holding it down, bass section, VOT. I'm a tenor, so I ain't mad at you.
Somebody's got to carry it.
We be competing sometimes, but that's the fun we be having.
There you go.
So sir, I wanted to, see what you got, see what things God has done in your life, what paths you've been on, and anything come to mind. So I sent some questions. What experiences have you had that transformed how you think about God? What experience have you had that transformed your relationship with God? And have you had any things that God made you go, wow? Yeah,
You also, in that scenario, asked me, when did God become real to me?
Yes.
And I was truly fascinated by that question. That and what has God done in my life that made me go, wow, right?
Okay.
So, uniquely, I was baptized at the age of 4. So, grew up in the church. Mother's a president of the choir, been my whole life. My dad was deacon.
Okay.
Now senior deacon. My grandfather was a minister. So kind of like Pastor Wesley, you just come up in that environment of church. So, I was taught the serenity prayer at a young age. Had to learn how to recite, Psalm 23rd. God is my shepherd. So you talking about 7, 8 years old, where folks asking you to do those things and recite it for Sunday school. So sang in the choir, went to Sunday school. I was in the Christmas play. I was in the Black History play. I was in the Easter play. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. 27 Psalm, Lord is my light, my salvation.
So you like Ty said, church baby.
I'm a church baby. Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And my grandfather's favorite quote, hey, don't fool yourself, prove yourself. And so I say those things so that although God has always been real, and I know in my life that there's no things that I could have accomplished or wouldn't be able to accomplish without him, because I was always of Christ, I didn't live my life Christ-like.
Okay.
So those create some challenges and put you in some places where for you to survive, it has to be of God.
Right.
You say incidents that happen that you ask what God has done to make you speechless. And for me, I have a daughter, a biological daughter. She's 26 years old now. And so bringing her into the world, knowing she was a part of me, I'm like, wow, I did that. And I'm responsible for who she is. And I was young, I was irresponsible in my first marriage, didn't follow life the way I was supposed to. And so you lose that. But I never lost that relationship with my daughter. And God allowed that to happen, because there were many people in the way who were trying to prevent that from happening. But that was of God. And when I say speechless, because people didn't know me as Mr. Grover. They didn't know me as Mr. Charlie. All her friends, all her teachers, everybody knew me as Amber's dad, because that's how that's how she advertised me, because the world knew that I was Amber's dad. Wasn't nobody else's dad, but I was her dad.
Wow.
And so to take it to another level, she's married now. She has 2 kids. She's independent. God allowed that means to take place. She's a Christian, strong Christian, 2 boys. She named her first son, 4 years old, after his dad, her husband, Ray. And she named her second son, who's now 1, after her dad.
Wow.
Me.
Okay.
So you're saying wow.
Yeah.
So imagine what I'm saying.
Yes.
When God allowed my relationship with her to have that happen.
Yeah.
It leaves you speechless. And so what happened to make that? It was God showing me that whatever time frame you have with her, make it the best time ever. So as a parent, and I've given it to her, whether it's 5 minutes with her, whether it was 5 days with her, whether it was 5 hours with her, whether I just picked her up and brought her home from school, it was going to be the best time in her life so that she knew that love and happiness was coming from her dad.
Man, you speaking to a lot of dads, man.
And so, I'm a proud father, proud dad. And, you know, I grew up in a 2-bedroom house on a dead-end street in small town, Louisiana. And in that home, we always had love and we always had Jesus Christ. You know, those are foundations. So we were poor, but we never knew we were poor because we had love.
Right.
And we had Jesus Christ. And I joined the Air Force at a young age out of high school to get out of that small town, right? And was smart in school, so it wasn't an issue about grades and not getting into college or anything like that. It was just my means of seeing a way to get out of that small town. And I joined the Air Force. My love growing up was football. I was able to play in high school, felt I was pretty good. And in the Air Force, I found I could play football. On bases, I could travel.
Yeah.
And so I did that.
So you played football?
I played football in the Air Force, and I did that, and I had some great fun. Not in the academy, but I did that, and I had some fun, right? Yeah. And so I say that to say, for 13 years I was enlisted, and playing football and traveling around the Air Force, won 9 championships. But I graduated the Air Force and I left the Air Force after 13 years and didn't have 9 credits because I didn't go to school. As smart as I was making some serious dumb decisions. And God allowed me to have a great life. So it wasn't like I was struggling, because I just shared I was having a lot of fun. But I realized that I had a daughter coming up, and I wanted to present a positive example so that she knows her dad as someone other than the person she followed to football fields and watched play ball. And so I decided I was going to transition out of the Air Force. And folks would say, what are you going to do? And I was like, I don't know. I'm going to allow God to order my steps. In my office, a guy made a statement and was like, you know, if I was in a position right now, I would get out of the Air Force, go to school, and I would commission. I was in the process of getting out of school. Out of the Air Force. And so another individual, like yourself, a mentor, someone who advises and likes to ensure people are doing the right thing. He said, how old do you have to be? And the guy said, well, you just have to commission by the time you're 35. And Clarence Saucer said, Charlie, how old are you? And I said, 30. He said,
how old were you then?
30. Okay. He said, you can go to school, flunk a couple of times, and you'll still be all right because you're young enough. And I was like, he said, go to the education office, come back and give me a report. I said, no problem, sir, I'll do it. He said, no, go now. And then come back and see me. But it's that push, because sometimes in life we need it. God put people in your way to help give you a nudge every now and then, to give you get encouragement.
Exactly.
But sometimes you need people to push you even when you don't know you're being pushed. Yeah. And so I went, and remember I told you.
2 hands.
Exactly. Remember I told you I had 9 credits.
Okay.
So I go and go to the education office and tell the lady what my aspirations were. She goes in the little folder, in a drawer, and pull out my folder and blow the dust off.
Oh my.
I haven't done anything in 13 years. And she looks, she says, She said, based on your career accomplishments, your experience, you going to school, she said, you could be back on active duty in a year and a half, 2 years she said 2 years, a year and a half if you push yourself. And I was like, she was like, yeah, all you have to do is be accepted into the school. And I was like, okay. So she called the school. She said, are y'all accepting any prior enlisted cadets? And they were like, yeah. All he needs to do is apply to the school. He gets accepted. Tell him show up at the ROTC detachment. A year and a half later, I'm back on active duty as a commissioned officer. Now, who is that? Is that not God?
So let me get this straight, because So you were enlisted
I was enlisted for 13 years.
13 years.
Yes, sir.
You're about to leave.
I was about to separate because I wanted to do something different with my life.
Right.
Yes, sir.
But you got that nudge
I got that nudge
to become an officer.
to become an officer.
So and basically just had to just go to school.
I just needed to go to school.
But
So I
so
separated
you
and become
didn't
a
have any
full-time
idea that you could
Had
do.
no idea.
Oh, okay.
No idea.
Okay.
Now, it took some work.
Yeah.
I was going to 2 junior colleges and a university during that time. I was working part-time, running cable in a building at that time. And at the same time, I was ensuring I had a great relationship with my daughter because that was extremely important to me at that time. But through God's help,
Right.
through God's direction and leadership, hey, a year and a half later, I'm raising my hand as a commissioned officer, as a second lieutenant, right? And so when you say transforming the way you think about it, you know, or transforming your relationship, there are things like that that occur in your life that make you say, it had to be God. I know it was God.
Yeah.
I don't doubt in any way that it was. You know, when you say, wow, that was a wow moment.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? As an officer, I have worked directly for the 44th President of the United States.
Yes.
I worked for the senior most military member in all of the members of the military, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Wow.
Wow.
I'm on the staff of the Secretary of the Air Force, 25th Secretary of the Air Force. Wow. I commanded a Tuskegee Airman Squadron. Wow.
You commanded the squadron.
I commanded a Tuskegee Airman Squadron in Kuwait. So all of that as an African American.
Yeah.
But through God's grace and mercy, I was able to accomplish those things. So you say, wow.
He placed you in some places, man,
Exactly.
that you probably hadn't even thought about.
Those were in no way things I were thinking about, considering on my path. It was all God ordering my steps and me just following them, you know. And as I shared, growing up in that 2-bedroom house on that dead-end street in Reserve, Louisiana, and I love to highlight that because we also have a saying at home is, you see the glory, but you don't truly know the story. Which I feel to believe this is what this is about, and it's telling that story. And so you go from sleeping in that house to for 2.5 years sleeping in the east wing of the White House on 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, and that is God.
Well, you had a residence up in there?
So and that's God,
Sir.
So you see what I'm saying? Once again, you see the glory, but you don't know the story.
Revealed.
and so I say that I spoke to my youth and my immaturity as a young man of being failing at a first marriage. You look at a situation and it's like many people in those situations don't have beautiful relationships with their children, but it's possible. With your ex, but I have one. With your former in-law, but you have one. But I say, that's God, wasn't me. Because in many cases, those things don't happen. But you follow the Christian path, and it does. You know, I was in a motorcycle accident as a young man, no helmet, misbehaving once again, acting a fool, and survived. Was in a car accident, no seatbelt, hit the steering wheel, bust my nose open. Should have gone through the windshield, but didn't survive. So God has always had plans and intentions for this life that I wasn't in any way recognized.
You being a knucklehead, but he's like
exactly. So many will say, I'm glad I serve a God of another chance, because even though I keep messing up, God continues to make it possible.
Wow.
For me continuously recoup his blessings, right? You know,
Grateful, man.
he put in my life a beautiful mother who's still around and loves her son dearly, a beautiful sister, my only one, who loves her brother dearly, a beautiful daughter who I've spoken to you so much about, and he's also given me a beautiful wife. So even though I've screwed up before, you know, he's blessed me again with someone who decided to take a chance on this knucklehead and feel he was worth loving and spending life with. So I don't know how to say anything negative about my Lord and Savior, because I'm a living transformation. He has transformed my life in so many ways that when you look at where I started and where I sit before you right now, God is so awesome. He is truly so awesome. So anyone I say, you know, who doubts following that path, I say try it. You know, I'm gonna retire from the Air Force after 30 years next year. Be 31 next year. And in many ways, that's a transition, right? And people say, what are you gonna do next? And I say, you know, I didn't know I was gonna do all this. All I knew is that by being a child of God, all things are possible. So I'm gonna allow him to order my steps, and I'm waiting to see what the next transformation looks like. Because he's been transforming Charlie over and over and over again. And these blessings just keep coming, you know. So it's like blessings on blessings on blessings on blessings, man. And I'm just taking them as they come.
I was trying to make this conversational, but man, it was blessing me. I'm just sitting over here, just like I'm like, yes. Oh man, that's
you
powerful
know,
story.
And your story is powerful. You know, it's just amazing to see what God can do in your life if you're just truly willing to trust and believe.
Oh yeah.
Right? And I know I haven't always been at my best, you know, and in so many cases, we judge ourselves as opposed to, you know, and that made me think of something. You know, the hardest thing to do that I've found in life is not really forgiving others, but it's forgiving yourself.
Yeah, we can really be hard on ourselves.
We can be very hard on ourselves, and mostly because we know right from wrong. We were taught it. Mm-hmm. We know this Christian walk, this Christian path that we should be on, and we know when we veer off, and we've asked God for forgiveness,
right? Only
to return back to that wrong path at some point later in life, and now have to go back to God, face Him again, and ask for more forgiveness. But we serve a loving God, and I've seen time and time again where, whether I'm falling on my knees, whether I'm driving, whether I'm just walking, I sometimes have to say, thank you, Lord. Thank you for another chance. Thank you for another opportunity. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, what else would we say? Thank you. Thank you for...
He is truly undeniable.
Oh, he is. Truly undeniable.
He is truly undeniable.
I appreciate you sharing that. And, I can't wait to people hear the feedback from it.
Yeah.
And I just want people to be blessed, man.
Yes.
You know, not everybody knows.
Well, and you're right. Not everybody knows when it comes to believing and truly believing.
Yeah.
And putting your faith and trust in God. You know, that's not easy. You know, I've seen, you know, my parents, because, you know, with age comes wisdom, right? So you watch the old folks talk about amazing grace, and you know, you watch the elders speak to all the blessings and things that God has done, and you see that and you know that. But when you start living it and have to experience it for yourself,
you don't always get it when you hear them, but when you start living it and going through it, you be like, oh, okay, I get it now.
Yes. When you fall on your knees and know that there's no other help I know.
Sure. Father, I lift my hands to thee.
And all that help comes from the Lord.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
yeah,
Yes, sir.
yeah.
So to see those blessings come, yes, it's tremendous.
Awesome.
And I don't mind sharing that ever.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. So, thank you all for watching another segment of Undeniable. And just stay tuned to us. Stay tuned, because this is a powerful story. My brother Charlie has shared, and we got more coming.
I love what you're doing, man. Keep it up.
Oh man, thank you. All right,
Awesome.
brother.
All right.
Thank you.